Hi everyone, it's Jan with What You Make It, and I am back with another project in our fall project series. And today I am working on creating a little card kit that I put together for my youngest niece. I love crafting with my nieces, and I'm not going to get to be with them this fall, so I'm going to send my youngest a little card kit that she can put her own little pumpkin card together and give it to a teacher or a friend. I think she'll have a lot of fun. So I put together a little card kit in a glassine envelope, put all the pieces that she needed in there, and I'm going to show you how I decorated that because I used some fun techniques. But the basis of this card is it's a shaped card using some dies from Papertrey Ink. And I love these because they make making a shaped card really easy. If you don't have any kiddos in your crafting world, you will have fun making this for yourself. If you want a more adult version, I used wool felt for this one, and I think it's just a fun little holiday card to send to somebody. So this project is for everybody. This die set allows you to very quickly put together a shaped card, and the base of the card is used creating this one die. And you will run it through once with a piece of cardstock. And this is what we're going to add all of our sections to, whether you're using the felt or you're using pattern paper. You want something very sturdy to put that on. And then we want to take a folded A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this die has a little series of dots along here. And you just put the fold of your card onto the die, and I use it to look through because I'm going to put it through this way. That's the way that I can tell that I have it in the right place. But you just place the fold of your card along that. I use a little masking tape to hold it down as I put it through my die machine. Now for the pattern paper for all of these, you can use whatever you want. I liked the contrast of the different pattern papers. You can make some stamped paper. You can do whatever you want to do to create your sections. This was a paper line that had some really cool orange colors in it. So I cut out 5 different ones. I'm going to make some for some of my other friends. But I really think for contrast you need at least 3 different patterns. I repeat the center one on the outside, but do whatever you like. Now you cut the sections with this die, and I wrote on the back that you need to, when you are preparing your papers, you want to cut a 4 1/4 by 6 1/2 piece of paper. And I put that on there so that I would be reminded that I couldn't really use a 6 by 6 paper pad to cut this out because it's a little bit wider if we're going to cut the sections out. You also get the mouth, the eyes. You could cut another triangle for the nose, and you get the stem. So all of that is easy to cut out, and that is what goes into my card for her. Now I went ahead and stamped a greeting inside, "Hey Pumpkin," and then I took a little bit of time on the top of this, and I drew out the sections for her and put a number, so she just has to find the section and put it down. I'm going to send her a glue stick. It will be fun. So she can put this together for herself or for whomever she wants. So what I want to do is spend some time showing you how I decorated this bag. Totally got this idea from Erin Lincoln over on the Papertrey Ink blog. Her blog is called Procrastination Station, and she did some of these for a neighbor, the little card kits, and I was like, I have to do that for my niece. So I want to show you how I made this one. I'm going to clear everything off, and I will be back. Let me show you how I put this cute little owl together. I was working on a mini album, and was using this stamp set. It's called Happy Haunting, and it has little dies, and it's basically a build a monster, build a ghost kind of stamp set. But if you turn these little guys this way, it kind of looks like an owl. So you'll see these guys again. They're going to show up in another project here soon, but I'm going to show you how I turned her into an owl. I am going to put a little paper behind this because I just used my Copic markers, and I wanted the bottom to be purple and the top to be kind of orangey. So I'm going to just, this is BV11, and I'm just going to color in really quickly because we're going to make little body feathers and wings and everything. We don't have to have super coloring. If you want to add a little bit darker, this is Violet 17, and I may just pull it in from the sides a little bit just to give it some shading. We can mess around with it when we get down in there. And for the top, I'm going to use YR23, and I'm just coloring in here just a little bit. That's going to give us our little, and if you want to, you can take a dauber and put a little brown onto the top of that. For the feathers, the little belly feathers, I actually punched out using a Fisker's punch this double scallop lace. I didn't know how much I would need, so I took a 2-inch piece of thin construction, thin cardstock, and punched out both sides and trimmed it down the middle, and then ran it through the sticker machine. And let me grab some scissors here, and I'm just going to cut off a section that I think can use. And I started at the bottom and centered one of the little scallops on the belly, and I'm going to trim it later, but take the next layer, and you want to kind of make them alternate just a bit. And we need one more section here. We can move it down just a little bit so we've got, so there we go. And then just turn it over and trim the back. To make the wings, I traced a shape, and I actually, once I had it done, I felt like they were a little too big. So I'm going to trim these down, and I'm just making little random curved shapes to them. They kind of are shaped like a leaf. If you had a leaf punch, that might work pretty well for you as well. Make sure that I hide other little wings. For the eyes, I took some ink and just rubbed, kind of a greenish ink, rubbed it onto a piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to use a 1/2-inch punch out a couple of circles, and I'm going to use little sparkly, this is a Spica by Copic. It has just a little glitter pen, and making some kind of spokes on the wheel. I'm going to put my googly eyes on top of it so it doesn't take much. I'm going to add my little owl eyes. Little adhesive, you could use a glue dot if you wanted. Another one. And I cut just a little square of orange paper to make her beak. Gonna add that right here, and our little owl is ready to go. I'm gonna set her aside and let her dry a little bit while we're working on our bag. Putting the rest of our card kit together is really very simple, but I want to show you just a couple of tips and techniques that I used. First of all, I took I think these are medium-sized glassine bags, and I used a little edgelet die. This is, I believe, a Stampin' Up! Edgelet, but you could probably use a paper punch, but I know that this is kind of waxy and it makes it a little more difficult to go through things. So if you have a die that does a little decorative edge, or you want to use some decorative edge scissors, that would be fun. And I also did it on a scrap of paper. All of this that you're seeing right here are scraps left over from other projects. I just put them all in my little Halloween envelope and then put them together. So pulled out what I needed and just used what I had. And particularly when you're working on seasonal projects, I think it's great to raid your stash, see what you have that you can use, and make it look special by doing things like putting a little edge on it. Then I took a piece of, this is 5.5 by 5.5, but measure your bag. That's basically what you want to do. And we're going to put this on top of the bag. I just made a square. My bag happens to be 5.5 inches wide, so I decided to make the little black background to be 5.5 as well. And I'm adding this, and you'll notice that the top piece is a little bit wider than this, and I did that because I wanted to be able to match up the scallops. You don't want to put it through a small wafer thin die like this at the same time. I wanted to cut them separately, so I wanted to be able to match it up, but I can trim that off. The next thing that I did, now you can you see the sparkly in the background? I did that with black diamond stickles, but I used a stamp and some cream ink just to, let me put a little scrap underneath here so don't get it on my mouse pad. But I used this and stamped my background, knowing I'm going to cover most of it up when I put the stickles on, and a lot of it's going to be covered up, but I thought it would add a nice little fun element just to give some texture to the background. We have that together. I'm going to put a strip of paper over here on this side. Which one do I want? I think I actually kind of like this graph paper. I'm going to put that one down. Want something that will contrast with my tree. And then I have a label that I've cut with one of the 1/2 dies from Papertrey Ink. I'm going to put it down. And I want to have it line up here, and I'm going to kind of hold my tree, see where I need to put this. I think we'll go right here for this. And I'm going to do the rest, I'm going to do my stamping and everything before I put anything else down here. But I'm going to leave the tree here for reference. I didn't have a stamp that was really the right size to go with this stamp. I knew I had this one. I wanted to just use the wing from it because I'm going to use felt that I cut out from the owl. So I kind of figured out how much space I needed, and I didn't have a stamp that was happy, but I did have this one that said Happy Autumn Birthday. So I took a piece of Scotch tape, taped over it. That's an easy way to do some inking, some selective inking on a stamp. I think it helps you get more usage out of your stamps. Get it good and juicy. Then pull the tape off. And you can put stamp without having the rest of its selective stamping. I love it as a technique. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the Halloween. Take that off, and then I can put my stamp that part of it, and we can add our little felt letters for owl here. I'm just going to use a little Fabri-Tac for those. I just took my stickles and I used my guides. I used the little stamped lines to just add the lines of the web. And you want to do this step almost last, because if you're like me, I will stick my hands into it. I'm not gonna, I'll show you the rest of the card here, but it's pretty self-explanatory, the rest of the techniques. But I think it's just a fun thing to put together for the kiddos in your life. I think the more we engage them in crafting and being creative, they learn more about the things that they like. I think it's a fun thing to share with your kids. Time crafting, acknowledging that creative part of them. You know, I tell you all the time that I need to remind myself, I need to craft and play with my art like I was a 5-year-old, because that was about the last time that we crafted without fear. So I want to keep that alive and well in my nieces. When you finish decorating your bag, you can pop your card kit into it and close it up with a little bit of seam binding or twine, and add a couple of buttons, whatever you want to do to make it your own, and you're going to have a little crafter that is very happy. Thanks for joining me for another one of our projects. I hope whether you make a shaped card for some of your adult friends, some spooky little ones, or even if you put a kit together for a small crafter in your life, I hope you have a great time with some creative play this week. I'll be back with another project soon.